Hello and welcome to another edition of Midlands Business Update, the show which looks at some of the week's big talking points in the local economy. Tonight we'll be talking 0 hours contracts and business loans. We'll be finding out which parts of the West Midlands pay the highest average income tax. And with it being Easter weekend, we'll also be talking about chocolate and confectionery too. Before we meet the first of this week's studio guests though, let's just take a quick look at some of the Big Centre TV business headlines. A Walsall manufacturing company has teamed up with Dudley College to give 50 engineers of the future an insight into their industry. BTEC engineering students are spending time with PP Electrical Services with the emphasis on giving them shop floor experience and exposure to new technology. The company's 40,000 square foot factory makes automotive components, food packaging and products for the printing and telecommunications industries, shipping all around the world. The Midlands' first state-of-the-art youth facility, Wolverhampton Youth Zone, has secured backing from 10 leading businesses. The project is looking to cover its £1 million running costs by recruiting corporate patrons, and companies already on board include FBC Manby Bowdler, KGJ Insurance Group, Marston's PLC and the Redrow Foundation. A new survey has pinpointed the highest income tax-paying constituency in the West Midlands, and top of the list is Kenilworth and Southam, followed by Sutton Coldfield and Bromsgrove. The average salary in Kenilworth now stands at £26,000, according to the figures from NFU Mutual. The West Midlands branch of manufacturing organisation EEF has outlined its key priorities for whoever forms the next government. They include restoring public finances, securing real wage growth and providing a better support infrastructure for growing businesses. And that leads us on nicely to my first guest. BCRS in Wolverhampton is a company which specialises in providing loans to West Midlands based businesses who are unable to get money from traditional sources such as the banks. Paul Kalinauckas is Chief Executive. Paul, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit then about how your company came to exist.
Well, it was set up in 2002 as a cooperative, and the idea was that there's always been a problem with small businesses, the ones with under £1 million turnover, only a few employees, real problem with them getting bank finance because lack of security, you know, they're not really big enough, they're a bit vulnerable, they have their ups and downs. So a number of people came together and said, why don't we set up a loan fund just for the Black Country? And that's how it started, as Black Country Reinvestment Society. Now BCRS Business Loans covering the whole of the West Midlands. And when the credit crunch hit, it just took off like a rocket, and we will lend about £5 million a year now, plan to lend £6 million this year.
So it wasn't a case of this being set up as a result of the credit crunch, it existed at a timely moment anyway, did it?
It was in the right place at the right time, because one of the problems with the credit crunch is it's very hard to turn on a financial instrument overnight. You've even got the British Bank that's been talking, Vince Capel's been working really hard to set that up. It really hasn't still taken off, it takes a few years to get it going. We're in the right place at the right time. We're able to access funds from all sorts of places. But because we're passionate about small businesses and because we really care about them, because of the jobs they create, the effect they have on the economy. In fact, the measures they did on us said that the economic impact of what we do is about £60 million a year. That's all the jobs, the knock-on effect, the jobs that are preserved as well, and that sort of spread of money across society.
So if companies like yours didn't exist, what would happen to a lot of these companies then?
They go bust. Particularly as we're coming out of recession, they suddenly get the new orders come in. They've used up all their reserves. There's nothing left in the pot. They'll perhaps go to a commercial bank lender and say, look, we've got money that we need there. They'll look at their accounts over the last few years. They actually has not been too good over the last few years. They don't really like projection-based lending. You know, look at historically what you've done. And we always say, look, it's relationship-based. We're going to see the people. We look at the whites of their eyes. And we believe in what they do. And if we don't make the loan. If we do, we'll back them to the hilt.
So what's your typical type of customer? Or do you have a typical type?
About 25% manufacturing, because of this area. We go right up to Stoke-on-Trent, down to Gloucester now, right across to Coventry and Warwickshire. About 25% retail, so a lot of small shops as well. They just need a bit of... These aren't massive loans. You know, they start at £10,000. We do go up to £150,000. That's our top end. But the average loan size is still about £30,000 or so. But they just can't get it, and that's the problem. The thing they say to us is that they suddenly feel empowered, they feel liberated, because they're working on their business, they hit this sort of brick wall of finance, and it's taken all their time. They're not actually running the business properly. Suddenly we come along, we get them, they like that, we go and talk to them, we make the loan, they can just get on with it.
So how, presumably, because a lot of these companies have been turned down by traditional lenders like banks, is it fair to say then that you're taking more of a risk on these businesses?
A little bit more, but a lot of them are bankable loans. It's just that the credit policy has changed. So what would have got through 3 or 4 years ago, in fact, most of our referrals, as we call them, come from the banks. So the bank officials, they're saying, "Look, I want to do it, I trust them, I know them, I can't do it. Can you do it?" And we'll pick it up.
So it's not a case of the banks over there wishing that people like you didn't exist or not acknowledging you?
No, because we're not in competition. Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, they have to be declined by a bank. So we get a lot of cases like this where we'll run it for a couple of years, and sometimes we get a phone call from the bank saying, "Well, what would it cost to pay it out?" Because they want to take on the loan or do a bigger loan, but they've got now 2 or 3 years trading that they can look at.
How long would a company need to be running then for you to consider them?
We do startups. Startups are a bit more riskier because there's no track record there, but we look at the case. So it's case by case basis. A lot of the loans are now done at this lower level on what they call transaction basis. Go on the computer, tip tap tap, and if you tick all the boxes, algorithms work behind the computer screen and you can get it. But we work on a relationship basis, like it used to be.
Like the old-fashioned bank manager used to do, where you can actually gauge.
That's right.
They've got some kind of flexibility as to whether they think you're a good investment or not.
And they show us around the factory. They love what they do. Most small businesses, business people are passionate about what they do. And so you pick that up when you go and see them. And we like what we do because of the effect that it has. So it's a really great place to work. We all enjoy it. We're quite proud of what we do.
So I imagine then that actually your company would be quite a good barometer as to the general state of the Black Country economy, certainly the SME side of the economy then.
Because we're talking to them all the time.
And how do you find things at the moment?
There is a shift. I mean, there is more confidence coming back, so people are prepared to invest. The problem they're having is when they want to invest, they can't always access the finance, which is where we come in. But particularly manufacturing, a whole range of different offers there where they've held off for the last few years. And now they're going, well, in a business, you have to grow. You can't stand still. Looking positive.
So this would be growth that was maybe put on hold maybe for the last 2-3 years in a lot of
some
cases.
Of it, yes. And they're ready to grow now. And it's about getting people. It's often recruiting new staff that they're looking for. Some investing in new plant and machinery. But the thing about business is you have to invest to get a return. And if your working capital can't generate enough profit to have enough working capital to do all those investments, it's the lifeblood of businesses. The tap got turned off when the credit crunch hit. We turned on a dribble of it, and it's got a bit bigger. But we're still quite small. I mean, the banks are the major players in here. But we're there to do the deals that are doable. But for the risk criteria, they're different. But we're looking at more than the risk. We're looking at impact. So you might call us what we call an impact lender. What difference is this loan going to make? And that's what we're looking for.
And you talk about a lot of the money being used to recruit staff. Obviously, the issue of 0 hours contracts has been in the news quite a lot this week. Are you finding that there are quite a lot of staff out there in companies like this that you're lending to that are using 0 hours contracts?
Not generally in the smaller companies. It seems to be in sort of larger sort of retail operations. I think nationally there are 1.8 million people on 0 hour contract. I know it has increased significantly in the last couple of years. Personally, I'm not a great fan of it because I think it puts workers' rights back a bit, really. And we're looking now at, we want people, like in our company, want to contribute, they want to be valued and so on. And I think that can be a bit abused.
So what does the future hold then for your company over the next 12 months?
Well, it's onwards and upwards. So we will expand across the West Midlands and a bit further afield. We're going to get up to 10 million a year lending. So it's really turning the handle more. The demand's there. It's not going to go back to what it was before. I mean, I think people have realised that now. There was easy money beforehand. People were perhaps making very risky decisions without following it through properly. Our due diligence, where we go and talk to people, look through what they're doing, so is actually more in depth than a bank would do at that level of lending. I mean, if you're lending millions, okay, but at that kind of £15,000-20,000 we go and talk to them. We do all the credit checks and such like. So we get a very positive response and. It's really strange. We've done a big survey recently. Our customers love us because we enable them to go and do what they want to do.
So if I'm a customer and I want you to love me, how do I go about getting in touch?
You just go online, fill out a fast-track application form. You get a phone call from someone, have a chat. They'll come and see you. They'll work up the deal, and then it comes back in. We try and turn it around within a couple of weeks.
So that quickly? Right,
yeah, but it's not an instant online thing. You can get online decisions quicker, but they're not factoring in all the other side of it.
And that goes back to the faceless organisation, filling in a form and pressing
And
a
small
button
businesses,
again,
they actually
isn't it?
want to see somebody. They want to see you. And they want someone who cares, want someone who believes in them, because we're not actually shouting up for small businesses enough. We need more advocates of small businesses. These folk have put their necks on the line. You know, they've got to learn to live with financial insecurity. It's really tough out there, and they want someone who'll back them. And when the going gets tough, we don't take the umbrella away when it starts raining. We stick with them.
And at the end of the day, they're the lifeblood of the economy, aren't they?
That's
Paul,
right.
please stay with us.
Sure.
After the break, we'll be meeting an award-winning Birmingham businesswoman who is putting a novel twist on the Easter confectionery market. So I know Paul will want to stick around. I'm told she's bringing samples. We'll see you shortly. Welcome back to Midlands Business Update, Big Centre TV's weekly show talking about the big issues in local industry and commerce. And we thought we'd give this week's show something of an Easter theme. And our next guest has certainly done that. She's known, as you can see, as Miss Macaroon. She trained at a Michelin-starred restaurant, but her current business helps young people, including ex-offenders, to gain training and employment by hand-baking French macaroons. Rosie Ginday, welcome. Award-winning Rosie Ginday. And I must start this second half of the show by apologising to Paul, who is also award-winning. We ought to get that straight, don't we? Rosie, these macaroons look absolutely amazing.
Thank
It
you.
just reminds us that there's more to Easter than a straightforward piece of chocolate, isn't it? You've themed these for the Easter market, have you?
Yes, definitely. So we've made some lovely egg-shaped macarons, and then we've got some really nice flavours as well, and the colours kind of pull in with the spring theme. And then we've got our egg-shaped macarons in a egg.
Fantastic. We'll talk about the insides of those in a little bit more detail in a moment. Tell us a bit about your business, where you're based and how you set it up.
Yep, Miss Macaroon is based in Hockley in Birmingham. I set it up 4 years ago now, and it's a social enterprise, so all of the profits made from selling the macaroons go to provide training and employment opportunities for young care leavers and young ex-offenders from around the West Midlands. And we do that by putting them on 4-week training programmes in the kitchen, and they come in and they put on a full set of chef whites. And just through that process, it's quite transformative. So they come from wherever they've come from, whether it's a hostel or just kind of sleeping on their friend's sofa or some kind of chaotic lifestyle, and they come into a professional kitchen and they put on a chef's uniform and they look in the mirror and they see what could be a potential chef. And it gets them to really think about what they want to do in the future and gets them interested in baking. So yeah, we do quite a lot of things to get them to question who they want to be and where they want to end up.
So that's quite a specific business venture, isn't it? How did you find your way to that then?
Oh, it was quite a journey.
A winding road, was it?
It was definitely a winding road, yeah. What brought me to it was actually my father was in care when he was much younger, only for a really short time, but I can see the effects that it's had on him. And he is successful, but I could see that there's a lot of young care leavers out there that don't have the same kind of support network, and really wanted to be able to give them a little bit of a hand and the opportunity to change their life and their outcomes, really, because there are clear pathways from care to homelessness, to prison, to the sex trade. So, yeah, just giving them a bit of a hand to help themselves.
And how long typically would you have them with you for then?
Oh, it completely depends on the person. So some people just come to us for a 4-week course and they're ready to go on to college. Other people, they need a little bit more support. So after the 4-week course, we offer around 3 months of mentoring support. So our mentors can help them to register with a GP or sort out their housing or just hold their hand while they go to an employment agency, do a bit of interview practice, that kind of thing. And then we also encourage them to come to the kitchen and do some work experience with us, just to work out any kinks that they might have with kind of team working or managing their time and punctuality. And then also, if they're really interested in baking, then we either can refer them to our local college partners, UCB and Southend City College, Birmingham, or refer them on to work, or they can come and work with us. So we have a young gentleman, Z, he started on the course in February last year, and he worked with our mentor and sorted out quite a lot of stuff. And at that point, he didn't know whether he wanted to go into the catering trade or construction, so we let him continue his construction course that he was doing at the same time. And then around about September, he realised that he didn't really want to continue in construction. He did a bit of work experience, he'd got a few shifts, and he figured out that it's not really what he wanted to do long term. So then he came back into the kitchen just before Christmas and did some work experience with us and worked really hard, earned himself an interview, and now he's working with us.
Absolutely fabulous. That must be one of the most gratifying parts of the job, is it?
Definitely, definitely. He makes a really good cup of coffee as well, so
That's very important. As do I when my wife's in the office. That's my job as well. So you trained with Glyn Purnell, didn't you? You have a Michelin-starred restaurant background as well, didn't you?
Yeah. He's a fantastic chef, and the team was amazing as well. So, you're there working 60 hours a week, and you just become so close. It's such a fantastic environment, and learnt a huge amount, yeah.
So I was just going to say, how much of the skills that you learnt there are you now using in your day-to-day business here?
A lot, a lot. Some I don't. He always used to say, an army needs to march on an army can't march on an empty stomach, sorry. And yeah, we often miss lunch just because we're so busy. So those kind of things I'm not so hot on. But yeah, just the standards, making sure everyone works to standards, getting everything out perfect on time. There's no kind of second chances with a lot of the customers that we work with. We work with huge corporates. We do Pantone match macaroons, so we match exactly to people's brand colours. So next week we're sending out some macaroons to Adidas. They're launching a range of their superstar trainers that they've created with Pharrell Williams. So they've got them in 50 different Pantone colours. So we're matching macarons for their launch next week. And we do logo printed macaroons as well. So we did some for Karl Lagerfeld last week, and we do them for quite a few different companies. So when we're working with those kind of guys, then you don't get a second chance.
But that's the glamorous part of the business, and that's one of the things that will get young people interested in wanting to come and work for the company, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So when they come with us on the 4-week course, they do get to pipe orders for paying customers. So we're a preferred supplier for Pandora stores. So a lot of them know Pandora. So they will really appreciate the fact that they have this product that is quite expensive, and they have the responsibility to make it to our exacting standards. And yeah, they really respect that.
Excellent. So tell us, what have we got here then? Talk us through the box.
Yes, so we've got our large gift box, and we've got a few different flavours here. So we've got our cappuccino flavour and some strawberry ganache ones, and we've got also a new flavour that we tried, Black Forest. And one of us.
Go on, Paul. Do you want to try one?
Sure.
Do you fancy?
And we've got one of us.
Do you recommend?
Is that the Black Forest?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And then we've got one of our spring summer collection, which is champagne, good for Wimbledon.
So you literally can just make something to order for any. They're not off the shelf. It's straightforward. I come to you and I say, can I please have something that's got pink and blue spots on? And
yeah, most definitely.
Fantastic. What sort of volumes do you produce then?
At the minute, we're on 4,000 to 6,000 per week, but we're looking at picking up another customer that's going to be ordering the same. And so we do a lot of wholesale stuff as well. So we supply to a Michelin-starred restaurant in Yorkshire, and we've got a customer that's a large multi-site department store. And we're looking at taking on a contract caterer based in London, and they've got 22 sites. So we do volume as well as the kind of really interesting, glamorous stuff where you get to kind of tinker with all the colours and make sure it's the exact match, and then get the logos exactly right as well. So that's the fun stuff. You
sound to me, though, like a company that needs to expand, or is expanding, or almost organically growing to the next level. Yeah, we are organically growing, but we're an ambitious bunch. So yeah, we're looking at setting up a retail space as well. So we're looking at setting up a French macaroon and luxury hot chocolate shop. So yeah, in Birmingham. In Birmingham, yes. But plans to grow and expand bigger than Birmingham as well in the future. What do you think, Paul?
Very good. Excellent. Yeah, I mean, it's really different as well. Very tasty.
I can't talk and eat at the same time, so I'll just do the talking to start with. We were talking to Paul just before the break about some of the issues in the economy, and we're talking about 0 hours contracts. And I mean, is that something? Do you employ staff on 0 hours contracts? Do you have a view on that? Yeah, we employ staff on a whole range of contracts. So one of our relief chefs is on a 0 hours contract, and it works really well for her. She's a degree student at UCB, so whenever I need her, I give her a call. Sometimes she can make it, and sometimes she can't. So she's not tied into coming because she has a dissertation to write, and she has her classes to go to as well. But she's a fantastic worker,
and I'll always give her a call when we do need her on the off chance that she can come. So it works for her, but I can definitely understand when it is abused by employers, and I definitely don't agree with it then.
So let's look forward a little bit then. If we were to be sitting here in 12 months' time, where would you hope to be as a business?
So we'd look to have set up our first retail space in Birmingham city centre, and be looking to set up a second and setting up a franchise pack as well.
Fabulous. And you've got, and in the process, carrying on training and working with a lot of people for whom maybe their lives would go in a different direction, less palatable direction. Were you not offering them this opportunity?
Yeah, most definitely. So the retail space will have exactly the same course, but instead of focusing on food production, it would be food service and customer service. So we've got some amazing support pledged from John Lewis. They will be doing the customer service training. So yeah, it's going to be another employability course that will give them real prospects for a long-term career.
Excellent. Good luck with everything. Paul and Rosie, thank you for joining us on this week's episode. That's all we've got time for this week, I'm afraid. Don't forget, if you're a local business with a success story to tell, well, we want to hear from you. For all of us here on Midlands Business Update, have a great Easter. Now let's tuck in to Miss Macaroon's products. See you again soon.